Hello class. Today we're going to continue our introduction to plant ID and cover some basic tips and tricks when you're identifying plants. During this presentation, we're going to learn more about how to identify plants, the essential ID knowledge you should know, reviewing our basic plant anatomy, and understanding parts of a plant that help with ID. When learning about how to identify plants, it's essential to keep the following things in mind. Look at the common morphological features. This includes color, pattern, size, shape, and overall plant structure. Look at the commonalities among plant families. This includes flower and reproductive structures, growth characteristics, nutrients needs, growing conditions, seeds, and leaf patterns. Utilize a key to check your findings. I've included a very simple key that allows you to check your answers based on the common plant types. And also, remember that you won't be able to identify all of the plants, but knowing a few key features will help you find the right answer. When identifying plants, there's some essential knowledge that you should know. First, how the plant grows, the difference between a monocot and a dioicot, the difference between an annual and a perennial, the difference between woody, herbaceous, and deciduous plants, the difference between broad and narrow leaf evergreens, the difference between vines and ground covers, parts of the stem, and parts of the leaf, which include the structure, the arrangement, the shape, and the types of leaves. Before moving on, we're going to review the difference between a monocot and a dioicot. So as we've discussed in previous lectures, they're flowering plants, and they're both divided into two groups based on their seed structure. Dioicot plants are plants that have two seed leaves. Monocot plants are plants that have one seed leaf. There's key differences between morphology and other common traits. In this diagram that I've included in this PowerPoint slideshow, there's the difference between the monocot and the dioicot in terms of their seed, their root, their vascular system, their leaves, and their flowers. Additionally, it's important that we review the difference between an annual, perennial, and biennial plants. So all of these plants, as we've discussed, are herbaceous. Annuals complete their life cycle in 1 year. A perennial has annual dormancy, but it lives more than 1 year. And a biennial completes its life cycle in 1 year. However, vegetative growth happens in the first year, and then flowering happens in the second year. In this slideshow, I've included a diagram of the life cycles of an annual, a perennial, and a biennial. This will help you understand better how their life cycles work. We will now discuss parts of a plant that help with identification. In general, all parts of the plant are helpful. However, stem parts are especially helpful, including the terminal bud, which is the bud at the tip of the stem where new growth starts, can be vegetative or flowering. The axillary bud, which is the side of the stem, and it can be vegetative, so narrow, or flowering, round and large. The node, the inner node, the terminal bud scar from prior year's bud, the leaf scar, where a leaf was attached to the stem, and the lenticels, the breathing pores found on the stem. I've included this diagram of the stem on a plant, which outlines each important part that will help you with identification. We've discussed all of these parts, but it's important to review them before identifying a plant. Alongside the parts of the stem, parts of the leaf are also very helpful when identifying a plant. Some of the parts of the leaf that you should understand and know are the petiole, the base, the blade, and pay close attention to the surface texture, the venation, the midrib, and the leaf tip or apex. Over here, I've included a diagram of a leaf and its basic structures. It's important that you understand and review these structures as we've discussed in previous lectures. This concludes the PowerPoint presentation over tips and tricks for identifying plants. If you have any questions at all, please don't hesitate to reach out to me. I hope you have a great rest of your day.